Hello guys, saseni. I hope kila mtu wako poa. Pia mimi niko poa. My name is E.N.MACHARIA. Nachukua fursa hii kuwakaribisha tena in my channel, that is E.N.MACHARIA, pahali ambapo tuna deal with accounting matters, and for now tunaguzia kuhusu the Kasneb exam yenye inaanza on the 22nd of this month. So tunajaribu tu kuperuse mawili matatu, maybe we never know. Chenye tunaangalia kwa sasa ndio iko kwa ile exam paper. So kama ndio mara yako ya kwanza kujiunga nasi, kindly remember to subscribe to this channel so that whenever we upload something new, pia wewe ukuwe updated, usiweze kupitwa na kitu chochote kile. And I know at the end of the day pia wewe utakuwa mtu wa kusaidika. So I remember we started with our lessons, that is blocks, revision, and tukaguzia tu kitu kidogo on the company law paper, that is on the intermediate level. Kwa wenye wanafanya hiyo karatasi, kindly remember to revisit the question that we started with. Maybe ndio question yako ya kwanza kwa ile question paper, and then wewe ukuje pale uipuuze. Also tuliguzia mambo kuhusu na preparations za examination, so it's good also to peruse pale uone hizo points zenye tuli highlight, tukasema it's good to be prepared so that exam ikifika you will be very set. So for today nataka bado tuendelee with our company law lesson, and I remember tukiachana nilikuachia maswali kadhaa, and that's where I want us to start. So as always, have your notebook, have a pen. Mostly hii ni theory, so theory haina maneno mingi. You just study and understand. Ujue topic by topic, subtopic by subtopic, explanation, definitions, everything. Na ninajua you will be in a very good position if any question comes along your way. So I hope you have your notebook and a pen, and we shall start with the question that niliwaachia last time, ambayo ilikuwa inasema a group of 4 graduates have decided to form a small business firm to deal in import and export trade. You have been appointed as a member of the technical committee to help in registering the firm as a limited liability company. Explain to the committee the matters below. 1, or Roman 1, the 5 legal characteristics of the entity that will be registered. So wewe umechaguliwa pale, kuna watu wanataka kuform a company for export and import of goods. So ni mzuri kujua which are these characteristics of the entity that is being formed here. So we are still in the topic 1, nature and classification of companies. Bado hatujatoka pale. So ni mzuri kama this type of question ikikuja along your way, unajua imetoka in which topic, and most specifically kama utaweza hata kujua the subtopic, that will be very easier for you to answer the question. So I have I have several answers here with me, so you can add yours. So hizi si limited ama these are the final answers? No. Tunajaribu tu answer the questions kulingana na venye examiner ameuliza. So you may have another answer which is most likely as for the nini hizi zangu. So ni mzuri pia, make sure umesoma swali na umeunderstand. So the 5 characteristics or legal characteristics of this entity are: 1, legal personality. Legal personality. So we are forming a limited liability company. Which are these characteristics of a legal liability company? So its legal personality. How does it look like? So its legal personality. As a limited liability company, the business will be recognized as a separate legal entity distinct from its owners. So itakuwa kampuni imejisimamia kivyake. So inaweza, I remember in our first lesson tulisema kuhusu this type of company. So inaweza ingia into contract with its name, inaweza acquire assets with its name. So that's what we mean when we say it will be an entity distinct from its owners, very separate, very separate. So this means that the company can own assets, enter into contract, sued and be sued in its own name. The legal personality concept was explained in the case of reference Salomon versus Salomon Company Limited, 1897. So it's good also to give references of these cases, lakini there is a disclaimer. Kama hukubuki miaka, kindly usirify the case. Kwa sababu ukirify the case wrongly, it might cost you. So it's good to refer to the case if you are very sure and certain of the case. So for a limited liability company, legal personality is very separate from its owners. 2, limited liability. Limited liability. The liability of members of the limited liability company is limited up to the extent of any amount that remains unpaid on the shares that are taken by the members. So tuelewane hapo. The liability of members of the limited company is limited up to the extent of any amount that remains unpaid on the shares that are taken by the members. So kama wewe umechukua shares pale kwa ile kampuni, you are liable. You are personally liable. But kama kampuni ndio ilinunua shares na jina yake, the company remains liable. So it's not the members wenye watakuwa liable. No. The company itself itakuwa liable. Na if anything it arise, ama kukuwe na any issue, the company will be liable. Therefore, where the member has paid for his shares fully, he cannot be called upon to contribute to the debts of the company if the company is unable to pay its debt. So kampuni inafaa ijisimamie, and that's why tumesema hapo kwa point 1, legal personality. Kampuni inaweza stakiwa, inaweza inaweza kuwa hold accountable. So any debt yenye the company owes, si deni ya members, hapana. Hiyo ni deni ya kampuni. So 3, ownership of the property. Ownership of the property. This is obvious. A registered company can acquire and own property under its registered name. Hiyo tulikuwa tumeguzia hapa tukisema 1.1 legal personality, tukasema it can acquire assets. So such properties do not belong to the members or shareholders. This was explained in the case of E.N.MACHARIA versus Northtown Assurance Company Limited. So, ownership of property. Kampuni ikion anything, any property, that property belongs to the company, not to the shareholders or members. But the property is under the name of the company. So, huwezi nunua property with the name of the company and then ukiwa shareholder pale you claim that property belongs to you. That's wrong. So 4, capacity to contract. Capacity to contract. A registered company can enter into legal binding contracts with other parties in order to pursue its objectives. So hiyo tulikuwa tumesema hapo. 5, capacity to sue and be sued. So inaweza stakiwa pia, hiyo tulikuwa tumeiona hapo, so sita explain. Tafuta maneno yako yenye unaweza explain to the examiner, kwa sababu pia kuiacha hivyo point hanging inaweza kucause some marks, so it's good to give an explanation. So question 2 yenye niliwaachia ilikuwa outline 5 instances under common law where the veil of incorporation may be lifted. Explain or outline 5 instances under common law where the veil of incorporation may be lifted. So what is this veil of incorporation? Kitu cha kwanza ndio ujue what you are supposed to do with such a question. Understand, or are you in a position to understand what is this veil of incorporation? So we can explain or define this veil of incorporation by saying this means that the courts disregard the separate legal personality of a company and hold its members or directors personally liable for the company actions or debts. Here are the instances where the veil may be lifted. So hapa ni mtu anaenda kotini, anastaki kampuni. After kustaki kampuni, the courts decides that hii kesi yenye imeletwa ambapo kampuni imechukua some actions zenye zina affect people, zenye zina affect shareholders, ama iko na deni, may be shifted from the company's name or the company to the shareholders or to the owners or to the members. So hapa ni kama hizo points zote zenye tulikuwa tumesema hapo mwanzo, characteristics of a limited liability company. So koti inazitupilia bari. Kampuni sasa inaacha kujisimamia, inasimamiwa na either shareholders or owners. So owners ndio watabeba ile blame. Kama ni kukua sued, if the company was sued, then Kiswahili sasa inakuwa ni shareholders wamestakiwa na wanafaa kulipa ile deni yenye kampuni iko nayo. So this is what we mean by the veil of incorporation. Veil of incorporation. How can it be lifted? So ni ile wanageuza. So sasa si kampuni, ni watu binafsi. So kama kampuni ilikuwa na assets, iko na deni, sasa zinatiritiwa kulingana na venye koti itaamua. So which are these instances where veil may be lifted? 1. Fraudulent or improper conduct. So kumekuwa na a lot of mischief pale, kampuni imekuwa ikihadaa watu. So the courts can amua hii si kampuni inafanya ile kitendo, ni wale watu wako ndani ya ile kampuni. So with that, the veil of incorporation may be lifted. So kampuni haistakiwa, but the shareholders or the owners will be sued. So fraudulent or improper conduct inaweza fanya kampuni or veil of incorporation to be lifted. If a company is formed or used for fraudulent or improper purpose, the court may disregard the separate legal personality and hold the individual behind the company personally liable. Hiyo tumesema. This includes situations where the company is used to commit fraud, conceal illegal activity or evade legal obligations. So mtu anajificha na kampuni. Well, unajua kampuni haiwezi enda kukon watu, but its name inaweza tumika kukon watu. So who is doing that? Those are individuals. So those individuals will be held accountable, and if courts find it sweet for them to be prosecuted, then they will be prosecuted personally or individually, not under the company. No, individually. So point number 2, where veil of incorporation may be lifted. Agency or trust relation. Agency or trust relationship. When a company acts as an agent or trustee for its members or directors and they misuse the company to benefit themselves at the expense of others, the courts may lift the veil of incorporation. So that one is self-explanatory. Kampuni inatumika vibaya, mtu anajinufaisha. Inatumika vibaya, mtu anajinufaisha alafu anasingizia ile kampuni. The courts may lift the veil of incorporation. So 3, group of companies. In certain cases involving a group of company, the courts may lift the corporate veil to determine the true economic reality or to prevent an injustice. So if companies within a group are operating as a single economic unit, and one company is here or is being used to avoid legal obligations or unfair deprived credits, the courts may disregard the separate legal entity. So kampuni ziko pale zimeformiwa in groups, lakini kuna moja yenye chini ya maji inachezea watu kale kabaya. So kitawaramba wote. So haina ile ati ni yako ka branch ama ni yako ka moja kanafanya hiyo. Hapana. The court ikiingilia we take everybody into account. So it's good kujua how the companies are operating. So 4, avoidance of legal obligations. So under this, if a company is set up or structured with the intention of avoiding legal obligations such as tax obligations or contractual obligations, the courts will lift the veil of incorporation. So kama haitaki kulipa kodi, kama haifuati sheria, the court may be forced to lift the veil of incorporation. This occurs when the company is seen as mere facade, and this mere facade is MEREFACADE, or sham created to circumvent the law. So umetengeneza tu binu pale ama njia ya kubend, wanapenya, wanafanya vitu illegally through the name of the company, yani wanajificha pale nyuma. So the courts may lift the veil of incorporation. 5. Neglect of statutory requirements. Neglect of statutory requirement. If a company fails to comply with certain statutory requirements, such as maintaining proper accounting records, filing required documents, or acting in accordance with its constitutional documents, the courts may lift the corporate veil. This typically occurs when the company's non-compliance is deemed to be serious and deliberate disregard of legal obligations. So hiyo bado ni kama ile avoidance of legal obligations. Kampuni haitaki kufuata sheria, but it's not the company. Kwa sababu kampuni kuna vitu iwezi fanya, haina miguu, haina mikono, haina akili, inatumia minds za watu. So those people may be held liable if a company is found circumventing the law. So it's good to make sure that also those people when umeweka pale kama shareholders ama managers hawatumii kampuni vibaya ama jina ya kampuni vibaya, kwa sababu if the company is sued in a court of law, inaweza wageuka. So that's that. Tuende kwa our next question. Distinguish between a registered company and 1. Statutory corporation. Distinguish between a registered company and a statutory corporation. So ukiambiwa distinguish, unaweza amua kukuwa na table, pande moja ukuwe na registered company na pande ingine ukuwe na statutory corporation. Pia unaweza explain in points, bora uonyeshane the difference between the two. So whichever way it's easier for you, use that. Sitakwambia ati njia hii ndio mzuri ya ku answer the question, no. But you may choose to use the table. On the side moja uko na the registered company, side hii ingine uko na statutory corporation. Lakini yangu nimeamua kutumia the explanation way, ndio at least I elaborate my points further. Sababu ile ya table sometimes unaona ni kama umepeana a lot of information, so inakuwa unaipeana ikiwa very shallow. But use the best one that suits you. So difference number one, or sorry, before we start by the differences, what is this statutory corporation? Tulisema ni mzuri kujua or kuwa na explanation ama an idea what is this that the examiner anauliza. So statutory corporation, what is this? It's a type of company that is created by a specific statute or registration enacted by government. It is a separate legal entity established for a specific public or government purpose. So this statutory corporation imetengenezwa kutokana na the rules and the regulations ama the statute enacted by government. So hii ni kitu kutokana na sheria ya gava. So it is a separate legal entity established for a specific public or government purpose. So hii ina serve mostly government. Here are a few distinctions between a registered company and statutory government. So ndio nikasema unaweza kuwa na one side registered company and the other side statutory corporation. So but for me, naichukua ikiwa an explanation. Roman 1, formation. How are the two formed? Formation. So at a registered company, it is formed by individuals or entities coming together and registering the company under the related company rule. But for statutory corporation, it is passed by the government, granting it legal existence and specific powers. So inatengenezwa na the government. 2, ownership. How are they owned? In a registered company, the ownership typically rests with the shareholders who invest capital in the company and hold shares. So hii ni ya shareholders mostly. In a statutory corporation, ownership is vested in the government or public authority, and there are usually no shareholders. So mostly kwa hii statutory corporation hakuna shareholders. 3, purpose. So what's the purpose of incorporation? A registered company can engage in various commercial activities for profit, whereas a statutory corporation is typically established to fulfill specific public functions or provide essential services. So hii imetengenezwa tu for essential services, like kama tuseme Huduma Center, that is a statutory corporation. So hiyo huwezi sema kuna mtu ako na shares za Huduma Center, pana iko pale kusaidia the government to deliver its services. So governance. For governance, a registered company is governed by its own internal rules and regulations, such as Article of Association and shareholders agreements. The management structure and decision-making process are determined by the shareholders and directors. In contrast, a statutory corporation has a government body appointed or nominated by the government or relevant authority. So the governance structure is determined by the registration that created the corporation. So hapa hakuna shareholders. Kwa statutory hakuna shareholders kabisa. But kwa registered company, hiyo lazima ikuwe na shareholders. So that was on statutory corporation. So another difference between registered company now with the partnership. We have partnership. What is partnership? Partnership is a business relationship between two or more individuals or entities who agree to carry on a business between and share its profit and losses. So watu wanakuja pamoja, wana agree, and normally kuna a document called a partnership deed or partnership agreement. Watakaa chini, watasign, watasikizana how they will share the profit or loss, na wanaanza the partnership. So here are some of the distinctions between a registered company and a partnership. 1. Legal status. Legal status. So how are they different? A registered company in a separate legal entity from its own, a registered company is a separate legal entity from its owners, while partnership does not have separate legal entity. Partnership, rather, are considered an extension of the individuals or entities forming the partnership. So partnership haina separate legal entity. Tukiachana hapa tumeachana, ni hivyo. Hakuna maneno mingi. So ni mimi na wewe, ni hivyo. 2. Liability. Liability. In a registered company, the liability of the shareholders or members is usually limited to the investment in the company, and their personal assets are protected. In partnership, the partners have unlimited liability, meaning they are personally liable for debts and obligations of the partnership. So anything can happen pale, munakaa chini, muna agree kama partners. These personal assets can be used to satisfy partnership liability. So kukitokea any shida pale, you will be held accountable personally as partners. So but for company, wako protected, wale shareholders wako protected. So 3. Management and decision making. Management and decision making. In a registered company, the management structure and decision making process are determined by the company's articles of association and governed by directors and shareholders. In partnership, the partners have an equal rights in the management and decision making of the business unless otherwise agreed. So wako na equal rights, na zile rights zimewekwa pale kwa partnership deed. So wamestipulate, mimi nafaa kufanya hivi, wewe unafaa kufanya hivi to that extent, na mimi to that extent hivyo. But for shareholders, decision making na management are determined by the company's article. So partners generally have a say in the day-to-day operation and can participate in decision making. So hii ni ile ya kukaa kwa kiti, mnasikizana. Hakuna arrangement. So unaweza leo amuka, unataka mnegotiate kitu, and that is that. Mtaitana, muagree na msikizane. So 4. Transferability of ownership. How can ownership be transferred? In registered company, ownership is represented by shares, which can be bought, sold, or transferred freely, subject to any restrictions in the company's article of association. So, kama kuna any restriction imewekwa pale kwa article of association. So, zinaweza uzwa, zinaweza nunuliwa, ama unaweza zitransfer freely. Those are shares for a company. But in partnership, ownership, interests are not represented by shares, and transferring ownership requires the consent of all partnership unless otherwise specified in the partnership agreement. So lazima kwanza you seek the authority of the others iweze kutransfer the ownership. So huwezi leta tu a new partner bila wale wengine kujua. You have to consult them. But ukitaka kuuza shares kwa ile incorporate or registered company, unauza tu, it's your own shares. So haina ile, kuna mambo mingi, lazima uconsult, hapana. Ama unataka kununua, you can purchase anytime, any day. But for partnership, you have to come into an agreement with other partners. So, kwa hayo, nasema asante sana. Mzidi kurevise. Siku bado zinazidi kuyoyoma ama kupungua. So revise and revise well. Utilize your time well. Plan it wisely. Don't concentrate on one paper. Make sure you divide your time well. Thank you very much. Remember to subscribe. Remember to share. Remember to comment. And don't remember to meet me again, same time, same place, and may God bless you. Thank you.